business. Fair play to him for 500. It's a great achievement. Thought Kendall refed that game incredibly well and controlled it when it could have gotten very tasty. Just needs to work on his footwork. Yeah, nothing for Sam Tompkins after, the referee ran into his path when he was trying to prevent a try. So there you go on that one.
Yep, Wakey White says, following up a good performance against Saints last week, once again it was our defence that brought us the win in a tough physical game. Fafita was immense and Brough turned in a great shift to get us going the other way, along with another outrageous Johnston finish. Catalan dropped a lot of ball, but much of this was due to big hits from the Wakey defence. The Trin train has finally left the platform in 2019.
I think I think with the Trin train there, he's trying to get an episode title, but the curse is lifted is already pretty much the episode title anyway. Genghis Campbell said, Twinkle Toad reprobate, Danny Brough had a dream game, Gigo had a nightmare, Bellevue looked/sounded great, and Fafita rocked fantastic pink cycling shorts. Second half started with Hurst attempted decapitation on a Catalans player and then Lange got a second try. Wakey were never in danger. Though Lange got a second try, Wakey were never in danger. Mead's groin fell off and Catalan still suck away from home. Bet they'll beat Warrington at home next week though. Interesting prediction there, Genghis. The crowd at Bellevue, they made the open side empty. So you couldn't go into that bit. So it meant that more of the crowd was where the cameras could see, which I think was a neat move for a Catalan game where you're not going to maybe get that end padded out as much as you might where the away fans normally stand anyway. So interesting move there.
Yep. Paul Chamberlain says there's a hint of Stockholm syndrome in following Catalans as a second team. Like a cheating other half, they repeatedly convince you they've changed, only for you to find a pair of Brett Ferris's underpants in your bed. At least Ferris is good at playing away from home, which is something Catalan can never be accused of. Gigo producing the form that got him released from a Broncos side that won only one game all season.
Review of the week. Definitely review of the week. Malcolm Tios said, game came too early, Steves? Too many pies, too many English players struggling with the lingo. It tastes like last night's undrunk bitter left in a pint pot with a dog end floating in it. Where's the sparkle? Where's the passion? There you go. Well, yeah, people have mentioned Danny Brough a few times in there. 500 games, and you've got to say, anyone who reaches that landmark has had an impressive career. And anyone who on their, I can't imagine that many people have performed better in their 500th game. To be honest, he was my star player. I think he was everyone's star player. He bossed the game, didn't he? He had one bad kick near the end, but he pretty much had a ball on a piece of string for the rest of the game. He put the Dragons' backline under pressure as well as draining the clock later in the game as well. So, and he didn't get sin binned. So result, 3 other players got sin binned, so there's problems there for both sides. But Danny Brough didn't get sin binned. So,
do you think that was in the script that Kendall was told not to sin bin him?
I think Danny Brough only got annoyed with other players, not with the referee this week. Probably because the side were winning, so he directed it in different ways. But yeah. Maybe it was part of the script, but then again, wouldn't he want his legacy to be continued? But to be honest, there was the kick he put in that turned Lewis Tierney around quite early-ish in the game, and I think at that point started to realise Brough was on it. The sideline conversion from Tom Johnston's try, you can't get much more sideline than that one, and he nailed that. And then, he set up another try with his kick as well. His kicking game was just totally on form, apart from that one blip right near the end. Where
I only saw the first half because I wasn't very well on Thursday. Oh. But, he just controlled the game, or the first half, in a beautiful way.
He really did. So it definitely deserves the accolades. I'm sure he'll get 3 points from the Man of Steel voting on that one, as well as 3 points in the goal for 3 points in whatever other Player of the Year votes are out there. But definitely he was the star of this game, and the other men that were mentioned in the stats roundup, Bill Tupou's an absolute tank. Sam Tompkins put in an awesome one-on-one try-saving tackle on Bill Tupou. That was probably one of those things vying for like the highlight moments of a game like this if it wasn't for the first try from each of the sides, which I'd pick out. I mean, Johnstone's leap and finish, Sky kept replaying other very similar finishes that has been done, and Phil Clark I think talked him up as the best finisher in the game right now, and you can't argue with that so much when he's scoring tries like that one, and it's not a one-off fluke event. But I also think Catalan's first try was very good as well. The quick switch around from defence to attack, and the the quick thinking actually, wasn't it, when the offload went loose, and then Tony Gigo probably did the only thing he did right all game and on that piece of play, and got the ball out there to David Mead, who showed great pace. Him and Lange worked well together as well, and sort of switched positions a little bit and found that try. I thought that was a really, really nice try as well. So good tries from both for sides on their first tries. One of the other things that kind of stood out in this game though was just like when we talk about how good Danny Bruff's kicking game was, Catalan Dragons kind of had the opposite, and they always made a mistake when the game might have swung their way. They took two.
Yeah.
I was quite critical of this at the time, because I think at that time Wakefield hadn't really rotated any forwards yet. They couldn't do because they didn't have the ball, and they looked like they were blowing. The Catalans finally got a foothold, were starting to make some breaks. They'd just scored the try and then marched immediately up the field. But they took 2 points from in front, and I know a lot of people will say you take the 2, you keep the scoreboard turning, and that sort of stuff. But you've got to be disciplined off the back end of that, and Tony Gigo fucked up the kickoff. So they didn't see the ball for 15 minutes, and they lost. The game was gone almost, like not gone completely. They had plenty of time to come back into it, but any kind of sense that they were in the ascendancy was completely evaporated in that time after that, when Wakefield absolutely controlled things. So it just seemed like a strange decision to me. Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, it's always a hard one, isn't it, to know, do you take the 2 or do you play for the position and the territory?
I just think, do you know, obviously it's game by game, moment by moment sort of thing, but earlier
But as you say, with the Wakefield forwards looking tired, maybe it would have been the time to have capitalised and, run at them, and even if they hadn't scored, then it's another set of 6 that you're driving at them, and you're in a good position then when you turn over the ball.
I suppose that's the only thing, isn't it? If they were going to kick it dead like they'd done the other times they were in that position on the field, then maybe they took the right choice, but it just didn't work out for them. But well done to Wakefield. They definitely controlled this one and deserved, I think, is it the first win of the season? So well done to them getting off the board. Yeah. Right. Let's move on to the second game then. We'll get into Friday night now. I'll do this one as well to give you a TV game, because the way they fell alphabetically doesn't fit the way they were shown on TV. But we'll try and keep that for you to have the next game, the Saints game. So I'll do the Huddersfield versus Warrington game, which finished up with a close-looking scoreline, with 32 points to 20 Warrington winning away from home at Huddersfield. It was 16-4 to Warrington at half-time. 6,076, which I don't think is a bad crown for Huddersfield, even though you'd want a few more there. James Child was the referee on this one. On the stats, Huddersfield actually made more breaks, 6-4, but scored fewer tries, 4-6. Warrington appear to have shown poor discipline based on the stats, actually, because they've got a 4.7% worse tackle success rate and a 12-8 penalty count reversal as well on the stats on the Super League website. So I think in summary they obviously took their chances better than their hosts with those stats all wrapped up into one. Individually as well, not so many of the Warrington players hit the key stat points that we kind of like to pull out as meaning it's an above normal performance. Chris Hill, he's kind of in the stats roundup every week at the moment, so he's having a great start to the campaign. 139 metres from him. Lama Tassi taking his chance with Ben Westwood suspended, 107 metres. And Ryan Atkins, 2 tries and 1 try assist. So
were they actually legitimate tries?
Yes, I didn't see a knock on.
And he made
I did see a knock on in the first one, but it was from Aquila Uati and not from Ryan Atkins. So yeah, he didn't celebrate anything that he shouldn't have by the highlights I've seen. You never know though, do you? There might have been one in between that's not been in any of the match reports. If it had happened, someone would have told us about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, how many did he claim?
On the losing side of things, Darnell McIntosh back in at fullback, 2 try assists, 7 tackles, 134 metres. Michael Lawrence, 44 tackles and 107 metres, so one of those to do it both ways there for him. Jerry McGilvery back in the side and back with a try, 9 tackles, 101 metres and 2 clean breaks, so he's obviously raring to go. And Alex Meller, 43 tackles, 16 of which were marker tackles, so tough defensive shift from Meller. In terms of the fan views, do you want to give us the first one, which I think is from a Huddersfield fan?
Yeah, Rob says, well, James Child had an absolutely shocking game, but thought Alex Meller played well once again.
Tom Eckley said, not the best quality game overall. Huddersfield pack stood up well in the first half, matching Warrington well. Early second half, the quality in the halves seemed too much for Huddersfield as we shot out to a lead before we decided not to play for the last 15 minutes.
Mike Dodd 22 says, went on my first Yorkshire away day for this one and it was a very enjoyable one. Scoreline makes it sound closer than it was, as Wire switched off for the last 10 and conceded 2 late tries. Hill and Ratchford had already been taken off by this point, 2 for a rest. Atkins was my man of the match with 2 tries and quick hands to set up Charnley for another. Always good when there's 25 minutes of a new chance when ABBA Classic 2.
I don't know what that was. I want Mike to expand on that, or if anything, the next game, do a recording on your phone of it and email it over to us.
Or just sing it for us.
Well, let's not put him under too much personal individual pressure, because, you know...
You don't know what singing training he's had. He might be very good.
Let's let him choose for himself on that regard. Okay. I don't want to feel pressurised, because I certainly wouldn't want to be singing, because that'd ruin things for the listeners. But yeah, like, that'd be cool. I think I've always really fancied the idea of recording some crowd chants and piecing them into like the match reviews and stuff when we edit the show together, even though it might cause a little bit more work for me. It always appealed to me for what the ethos of this show is about, but we've never really quite captured it, mostly because when
Joshua was prepared to stay up late tonight to sing you some songs for our match if you'd like me to get him down.
I'm sure he was, and I'm sure next time I see him I'll get ample amounts of stick, so let's just leave it till leave it. Stop it, Sarah.
I've got many shows to make up for.
Hey, whoa. Yeah, probably. And many more to come. Anyway.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, from the reports I've read on this game and the bits I've seen, it does, the reports all say Blake Austin was a big factor again for the Wire. But to me, through gritted teeth, no, in fact, not gritted teeth, through a mouthful of vomit, I'm going to say Ryan Atkins pulls out for me as a star player in this game. I mean, he scored 1 try through his endeavour and reaction, really, to jump on the mistake that Huddersfield made in their own in goal. 1 try came through his own great skill and leaping ability, which we know he's got. He's good at taking those kicks. Deck Patton put up a really good kick. I think, in fact, that from the highlights that I saw, that was the best moment of the game that I saw, where Atkins leaped up high to take Patton's inch-perfect kick that was falling just on the try line, so it was really difficult for a defender anyway, and Atkins ran a really good line in off his centre position, which he's done loads of times actually over the years, as disgusting as it is to say, and he got the ball down as well before celebrating, which was good. Anyway, yeah, so that try he got through great skill and all that, and he contributed with a neat assist too, with good hands for Charnley, although that try was more Charnley. Charnley finishes like not many other wingers in Rugby League finish. He probably can do a bit of the diving and reaching stuff, but he doesn't tend to go for that. He almost runs into the defender to bounce off the defender, to kind of make sure they don't get the angle on him across his front, so he can then, as they're sliding him towards touch, he's got the momentum to get reach his arm out and put it down after the contact, which is always really interesting, I think, to watch different finishes. We just talked about Tom Johnstone's against Catalans, and this is like a totally different way of finishing, but equally as effective. I think a special note as well for Jerry is kind of his finish was a little bit different. I don't know if you've seen it as well, but he kind of dived and slid and scuttled across for it, but it was quite short with little space for him to spare to manage to finish that off, especially when he's coming back from injury. So well done to him. But I don't have really that much more to say on this one. I do. It does look like there was